Students, welcome once again as we are discussing the chapter number 7 sound. So here there are the some characteristics of the sound wave. As we know that sound wave is a longitudinal wave. When the longitudinal sound wave is propagated through a medium, its density as well as the pressure of the medium at a given time vary with distance. So जब भी हमारी वेव प्रोपिगेट करती है किसी मीडियम के थ्रू, उसकी डेंसिटी और प्रेशर दोनों चेंज होती हैं मीडियम की, जिस भी मीडियम से वो फ्लो करती हैं, चाहे वो मीडियम लिक्विड हो, गैस हो या फिर सॉलिड हो. सो वी विल डिस्कस दीज कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑन द बेस ऑफ दीज दैट आर द wavelength, frequency, amplitude of sound and their units, obviously their units also. So first look at these waves. We will define these waves कि कैसे ये waves प्रोड्यूस हो रही हैं एंड ये waves की लंबाई कितनी होगी, what about its speed of these waves एंड फर्स्ट आपको पता होना चाहिए कि waves क्या होती हैं. So as I told you before that when the waves transfer energy from one place to another through a series of disturbances or vibrations that carry energy, so these are the waves. तो waves का main काम क्या होता है कि वो एनर्जी को ट्रांसफ़र करती हैं. तो एज हमने पढ़ा था पहले कि साउंड इज ए फॉर्म ऑफ एनर्जी. Now look at that. Once again, characteristics of the waves, that is the amplitude, wavelength, frequency and speed. So these are the four characteristics of the wave which we are going to discuss in details. Now first look at that amplitude, the maximum distance of waves crest or trough from its undisturbed or rest position. So as I told you, look at that in the diagram. So that is the rest position. You can also say that the mean position, and also you can say that the magnitude of maximum disturbance in the medium on the either side of the mean value is called its amplitude. So amplitude is usually represented by the symbol A. So look at that, these are the amplitude from the rest position. So look at that, this is the disturbance, maximum disturbance from the mean position, that is called the amplitude. Now look at that in calm sea, look at that look at that, these are the higher sea waves. So this is the amplitude from the sea level. So look at carefully. So this is the rest position of the sea. When the sea is calm, this is the rest position. So this is the maximum distance in the upward direction, and you can also say that this is the depth of that wave. So we can also say that it is the trough. So from the mean position, whatever the maximum distance in upward direction or in downward direction, that is called the amplitude of the wave. So look at carefully. But it doesn't mean that this is the amplitude, this is not the total amplitude. Look at that. So is amplitude the distance between a crest and trough? Answer is no, it's the distance of either of the crest or the trough to the rest position. It doesn't mean that this is total distance is called the displacement. No, from the rest position, from the mean position, the height of the crest, or you can say that the depth of the trough, or maximum distance of a wave crest or trough from its undisturbed or rest position or mean position. So please keep in your mind, अपने दिमाग में रखना कि इसका मतलब क्या है, कि गलत नहीं होना चाहिए ये. Now look at that. If we are here representing, so these are the all the amplitudes. So it means this is the one amplitude, this is the other amplitude. अगर आप इसको ऐड करोगे then we have the two amplitudes. और इसके जो and the units of the amplitude, look at that, the units of the amplitude in meter, because these are the distances from the mean position upward or downward. So that is why its units are in meter. So the next is wavelength, the distance between a point on one wave and the same point on the next wave, that is called wavelength. So observe carefully. So look at that, this is the one point, this is the second point. So distance between these 2 points is called the wavelength. So one point on the compression and other point on the very next compression. So you can also say that the distance between the two consecutive compressions or the distance between the two consecutive rarefactions, both are called wavelength. So you can determine the wavelength. So by the definitions, that is the distance between the two consecutive compressions or the distance between the two consecutive rarefactions, or you can say the distance between the two consecutive crests or distance between the two consecutive troughs. So all the definitions are of wavelength. And its symbol, look at that, this symbol, this is called lambda. This is the Greek word, so it is denoted by the lambda, and its units are in meter. So units इसके मीटर में होते हैं और इसको डिनोट करते हैं लैम्डा के साथ. So watch it carefully. So we have the number of waves. Look at that, these are the wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum. तो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक स्पेक्ट्रम में ये सारी की सारी वेव्स आती हैं. स्टैटिक से आप देखो गामा रेज, एक्स रेज, अल्ट्रा वायलेट, विजिबल लाइट, infrared, radio waves, microwaves. So these are the waves making electromagnetic spectrum. और हर एक वेव की वेवलेंथ अलग अलग होती है. सो लुक एट द गामा रेज, बहुत कम वेवलेंथ है, 0.0001 नैनोमीटर. नेक्स्ट इज एक्स रेज, आपने सुना होगा काफ़ी बार, 0.01 नैनोमीटर. नेक्स्ट वन इज अल्ट्रा वायलेट, 10 नैनोमीटर. Next is the visible light, 600 nanometer, then 1000 nanometer infrared, then आपके पास रेडियो वेव्स. तो इनकी रेंज अब लिखी हुई है. इंफ्रारेड जो होती है वो 1000 नैनोमीटर से लेके 0.01 सेंटीमीटर तक, एंड रेडियो वेव्स आर फ्रॉम 1 मीटर टू 100 मीटर. सो दीज electromagnetic spectrum are according to the increasing wavelength. So keep in your mind, look at that, the wavelength. So X-rays, look at the visible light, combination of 7 colors, and the last one is the radio, higher wavelength. Next is the frequency. So the number of complete waves passing a fixed point in 1 second, कितनी वेव्स प्रोड्यूस हुई हैं 1 सेकंड में. सो इसको जनरली हम सिंबल एफ के साथ डिनोट करते हैं, एज वेल एज इनके यूनिट्स हर्ट्ज होते हैं. तो हर्ट्ज इज द नेम ऑफ द साइंटिस्ट, और आफ्टर देयर यूनिट ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी इज हर्ट्ज, डिनोटेड बाय HZ. नाउ लुक एट दिस डायग्राम. In 1 second, look at that, 1 second, how many waves are produced? Look at that, this is the 1 second and 3 waves. So mean to say कि its frequency is 3 hertz, or you can also say that 3 per second, because frequency always a reciprocal of the frequency. Sorry, frequency is a reciprocal of the टाइम. सो जितना टाइम ज़्यादा लगेगा फ्रीक्वेंसी उतनी कम होगी, टाइम जितना कम होगा फ्रीक्वेंसी उतनी ही ज़्यादा होगी. सो इट इज़ वेरी क्लियर फ्रॉम दिस डायग्राम. सो फ्रीक्वेंसी इसकी 3 हर्ट्ज है, बिकॉज 1 सेकंड में 3 वेव्स प्रोड्यूस हो रही हैं. दैट मीन टू से कि वो 1 सेकंड में पॉइंट ए से there are the 3 waves are passing through the point A in 1 second. So next is the speed of wave. The distance covered by a wave in a unit time is called the speed. As we know that the speed equal to distance over time. So distance over time means इसके unit जो होंगे speed के, that's meter per second also. So same as आपने discuss करा हुआ, पहले पढ़ा हुआ. So meter per second. Now look at this diagram. So there are some clouds, and have you ever seen that, you observe that a lightning, thundering of the clouds, and you will observe the lightning first and hearing of thundering after the few seconds of lightning. So why it happened? Why do we see the flash of light first and thundering after that? So reason is very simple. The speed of sound in air is only 340 meter per second, but the speed of light waves are very high, that is 3 lakh kilometer per second or 300 lakh meter per second. And the speed of sound in different mediums is different. As we discussed, we have seen that in the table in a previous video. the speed is different in the different media. So sound waves are longitudinal wave, and the speed of sound depends upon the types of medium it passes through. And as we know that in air is very much low, in liquids faster than the air, and much faster in the solids. Now look at that. In air 330 meter per second, it depends upon the temperature. In water 1500 meter per second, and in steel 6000 meter per second. So look at that, it's very clear from the diagram कि एयर में सबसे कम है, वाटर में सबसे ज़्यादा है, और स्टील में सबसे, दैट इज सॉलिड्स में सबसे ज़्यादा होती है. सो we discussed these characteristics, that is amplitude, wavelength, frequency and speed. Now look at the relation between the wavelength, frequency and speed. So if you observe carefully, speed equal to distance over time. So यहाँ पे distance हमारा wavelength रहेगी, और जो reciprocal होता है time का वो frequency है. So speed will be equal to wavelength multiplied frequency. So it is very clear that waves with longer wavelengths or higher frequencies will travel faster. So keep in your mind, longer wavelength or high frequency जो waves होती है travel करेंगी, faster करेंगी. Or a speed of wave does not depend on its amplitude. So look at that, there is no amplitude here. So जो sound की speed होती है वो amplitude पे कभी भी depend नहीं करती. So look at the summary. Amplitude, wavelength, frequency and speed are the different properties of waves. And amplitude, maximum distance of a wave's crest or trough from its rest position or mean position. So, and the next one, wavelength, distance between two consecutive crests or troughs in a wave. Frequency, number of waves that pass through a fixed point within 1 second is called frequency. And speed of wave equal to wavelength into frequency.